Hello everyone, this is Gene and I'm back with the second video of the day. This is sort of spur of the moment. I wasn't planning to make a video, but then I saw this. I've been seeing this sort of... One second. RT just opened my door. Cat can never make up his mind whether he wants to come or go. Which is like the Rum Tum Tugger in the Cats musical, which I saw back in 2017 and I very much enjoyed. But anyway, on to the tweet, right? So we have Sophia Narwitz here, saying that it's kind of odd to see a film director, this guy named Mangold, I don't know. I don't follow movies all that closely. But it's odd to see a film director of a major franchise angrily replying to a tweet that barely scratched the surface of being viral. Twitter is weird. Anyways, dude is a good director, and while I have doubts he can salvage Indiana, Indiana Jones, you'd think he'd focus on more important things. A sentiment that I fully agree with. But the reason I'm covering this is because it further highlights the immature responses and the overly angry responses of people in the entertainment industry and their lack of professionalism, which is something I have talked about previously. I did a video recently, a few weeks ago, about heavy metal magazine's immature response to criticism regarding Tarna, which is a comic book of theirs, and the female character, is more or less a Red Sonja type. And she was shown in armor, and fans were concerned, and so they reacted like children, quite frankly. But there's been other instances. There was Brian Hitch a while back. Some fans playfully sort of razzed him about the way he drew Cal Ellis's hairline, and he cursed them out. And then I think it was either early last year or perhaps in 2019. But the voice actress for Naruto, for the English adaptation of Naruto, Mally Flanagan, I think her name is, something like that. She got tagged into a Twitter debate where someone had said that they did not like her particular take on Naruto, and that it made the English adaptation, the English dub, difficult for them, and she had a profane meltdown. Right now, all these things have the one thing in common: the gross unprofessionalism of the person responding. The issue is not the fact that they're upset. They have a right to be upset at times. So, because, for example, let's take a look at this. If this thing loads. So, Matthew Caddish, who I have no idea who Matt is. I don't know what he does. I guess he follows movies. I don't know. But it says here, to anyone thinking Indiana Jones 5 might be good, let me point out: Steven Spielberg is not directing. Kathleen Kennedy is producing. Harrison Ford is 78 years old. It's written by Jonathan Kasdan, who wrote Solo. And as Jeremy of Geeks and Gamers likes to often say, Solo lost money. I also would have put a number 5, which is that the what is it? The last film, I think it had Shia LaBeouf or Shia LaBeouf, one of them, right? Shia. That, the one he was in, where he was sort of the main star. They were trying to do like a whole Next Generation thing. I think it was the Crystal Skull or whatever it was. Didn't exactly do well. It wasn't exactly a financial hit, right? And it wasn't exactly embraced well by the fans. So I do think that for those who are fans of this franchise, of which I am not, I've seen the first, I think, like 2. This doesn't really interest me. But to each their own, right? But I do think that for those who are fans of the franchise, yeah, these are things to be concerned about. In particular, the fact that Harrison Ford is 78 years old, right? Fact of the matter is, he's on the he's closer to the Grim Reaper, right? And that means that this character of Indiana Jones, who's supposed to be an archaeologist and an action hero, It's very hard to do action scenes when you're pushing 80, right? So, yeah, I think that's a valid concern. And especially when you look at, say, what was it? Uh, Terminator Dark Fate, I think, in the summer of 2019, where they brought back both Arnold Schwarzenegger as the Terminator, right, and they brought back Linda Hamilton as Sarah Connor, right. That film did not do well financially, nor was it received well by fans of the Terminator franchise. Age is an issue, right? The aging action hero. Sometimes you can make something good out of it, like the Expendables, was sort of is a tongue in cheek, tongue and cheek, tongue in cheek, wink at the notion of aging action stars, right? But even then, there comes a certain point where you just have to acknowledge the fact that, you know, you're not going to get a lot of action scenes out of an actor who's pushing 80, right? So I think all of these are valid concerns. And here's the thing, I can understand both sides. I think that fans of the Indiana franchise have every right to be concerned because of these listed issues, and I can understand. Come on. And I can understand Mangold, sort of being upset that of the implication of the fact that it's gonna automatically be a flop because he's not Steven Spielberg, right? But his response, like I said earlier, it's not the fact that he's offended or that he's upset. It's his response, right? He says here, "Thanks, Matt. Keep making the world a better place, crapping on things in the first week of production from your basement." Ah, right, the classic shaming tactic of "you live in your mother's basement," right? Plenty of YouTubers make money and make a living from their basement or their bedroom, right? That was sort of the initial appeal of YouTube back when it first started, like 15 some years ago. The fact that you did not need high production values, right? Now, if you want to become a big name and a big brand, you do, right? There was a literal YouTube studio, right, somewhere in California, in like Google or YouTube's offices, right? But when YouTube initially started, the appeal was that it was YouTube, right? That you, the individual, did not need all of this glossy production. You could just literally do what I'm doing right now, and what many people still do: sit in front of the camera and give your opinion about something. So I find this tweet to be very insulting and honestly kind of stupid, considering the fact that this is what YouTube was originally designed for, right? It was meant initially to break away from the mainstream. Then, of course, the mainstream came onto the platform, and then you, Google and YouTube, especially once Google purchased YouTube, they became as mainstream and untrustworthy as anything else. So that's number one. Number two, never seen a script by John. Don't know what this means. Nothing against him, just reality. Butterworks and I started from a blank page. 1 to 3 are hugely talented and all at my side, which I'm assuming he means. Oops. Sorry. Put that back. For which I assume he means Kathleen Kennedy, Steven Spielberg, Harrison Ford. Here's the thing. Kathleen Kennedy's talent is, let's say, highly disputed because of the trash fire that has become modern Star Wars, right? And the sequel trilogy, which Disney, whether they admit it or not, has more or less abandoned. They're focused more on post Clone Wars, such as we see with the Bad Batch, right? Or Mandalorian stuff. And even now, Mando might be in trouble considering the fact that Gina Carano was unjustly fired back in February, and to my understanding, Pablo Pascal has made his main commitment to be the Last of Us TV show or movie, live action movie or something that he's doing for HBO, where he's playing the main protagonist of Joel. So even Mando, which was their sort of surprise hit 2 years ago, after years of relative mediocrity, as again Solo lost money, right? But now even that's sort of what's what I'm looking for, up in the air. I guess it's uncertain. So now they have to rely on other things, like hoping that the Ahsoka series will be received well and that Rosario Dawson won't be canceled at some point, right? So Kathleen Kennedy, being a good producer or a good leader, is a hotly contested topic at best, right? And of course, Steven Spielberg is legendary director, of course, right? But he's not directing, and no one knows just how hands on or hands off he's going to be with this. And as I mentioned earlier, with all due respect to Harrison Ford, the man is 78 years old. So while Mangold might have the support of Spielberg, Kennedy, and Ford, it doesn't really mean much. Having the support or the endorsement of these three individuals is no guarantee that you're going to create a great product. And it's no guarantee that it will be well received by either the broader audience at large or by, the Indiana Jones franchise fan base. And like I said, I understand him being upset. I'd probably be a little salty too if somebody tweeted something like that, implying that I can't do right, or I'm not as good as this other person, right? In this case, Steven Spielberg. Although in my case, to be absolutely right, I have no idea about directing a film. But I can understand being upset with what you might feel is unjust criticism, or someone not giving you a chance. I get that. So I can see both sides of it. I can see Mangold being upset, and I can see Kaddish being concerned. And this is one of those things where I think that both positions, in a way, are valid. So it's not the position either person is taken; it's the response from Mangold that's the issue here, right? With the apparently he's gone on to have a full blown meltdown. I know that other people like Az at Heel versus Babyface is making a video about this. So, but apparently, from what I've been hearing online, Mangold has had now a full blown meltdown. Right. So obviously, there's more tweets than just this involved. But just the first point that he makes in the tweet about production from your basement, I find incredibly insulting. And I am tired of seeing people who are supposed to be creatives and entertainers lashing out at fans just because fans dare to have a critical opinion. It's good for fans to be thinking and to have a critical opinion. And it's perfectly fine if you feel that the critical opinion is unjustified. But of all the things Mangold could have done, as someone who's constantly making video content and constantly on Twitter, I'm well aware of the fact that you have to stop and think about what you say. So he could have you have to sit there, right, and think and type this stuff out and usually erase and retype, especially because with Twitter you only get about 240 characters, so you have to try to figure out what you want to say in a very small frame, right? Small box. So you got to do a lot of thinking. And the thing is that you even have an option to save a tweet and not send it. So you could always, go back and edit it later or discard it, right? So you have to sit there and think. So to me, it's like, of all the responses he could have had, he decided to be salty. And I'm not going to act as if I'm perfect, that I've never lost my temper and responded without thinking. I have. But I don't represent, a company right? And I do these videos on my off time. Right? I don't do them. They're in no way related to my professional work, right? This is related to his professional work. This is related to his job. He's not just speaking for himself here. By this, he also, by extension, is speaking in one way or another for Harrison Ford, uh, Steven Spielberg, uh, Kathleen Kennedy, and what other companies or producers are involved in this, right? So I really wish that these creatives would be more mindful, right? Be 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 more mindful of how they respond to criticism, because this does not make people want to go see your film or give you a chance. He could have responded and said, "Thanks, Matt." He could have done something like this, right? "Thanks, Matt. I know that Steven Spielberg is an iconic director, but please know that he's hands-on and I'm constantly working with him and consulting him and we're doing our best," right? He could have taken each of those points and turned it around to try to assuage the very real concerns that Matthew Kaddish brings up in his tweet here, right? Right. Mangold had a perfect opportunity to take each point and spin it in a way to turn a negative into a positive and to give people hope, right? But he doesn't take it. He doesn't take that ability to turn potential negatives into a positive. Instead, he decides to be, as we saw, incredibly salty. This does not give me hope uh, that the film isn't going to suffer because of these issues. If anything, it confirms in my mind that yes, there's going to be a big problem here. This film is not going to do well because if your director is being this immature, then what the hell is everybody else doing? Because the director is the director, right? There's other people like producers and whatnot, right? But the director is one of the most highest ranked people in a film production, right? They set the tone. And I know that they're infamous for being divas and all that, but there has to come a point where you sort of put all of that aside, right? And put your best foot and your best face forward, right? If only just to make yourself look good and to make your product look um, what's the word I'm looking for? Just make your product look good. Like, I can't think of it at the moment, right? Right. But you want a positive. You want to promote. At least I would imagine that you want to promote a positive experience, right? That your work is accessible. There we go. That's the time. That your work is accessible to all, even your critics, right? But what are you gonna do, right? This is nothing new, right? The saltiness of individuals like Mangold here is nothing new at all in media, right? It's the same old song and dance, tried and true and told story of the less than mature creative lashing out at a fan, or at least someone who has some sort of investment in the quality of the film, right? Lashing out at them because they dared voice a negative opinion, right? Because no one ever complains if the opinion is positive. But the moment someone just says, "Hey, these things are a bit concerning to me," right? Then you get stuff like this. It's not even shade, but the saltiness of it all. Which again is just a sign that Hollywood needs a reality check, and Hollywood needs to grow the f up. But anyway, that's the video. Please let me know what you think, and I will see you on the next one. Have a good day or night wherever you are.